Hi everybody, this is Robin Warner recording after the fact to fill in a bit of information. After all, I drove the 2023 Highlander at a Toyota event and my time was limited. Briefly, Toyota introduced the 4th generation Toyota Highlander in 2020 and made updates to it every year since. For 2023, a more major update came through, which I'm going to discuss now. This is a 2023 Toyota Highlander, and this is not a full-scale review of this car. Rather, it's to talk about the most significant new part of the 2023 Highlander, and that is what is under the hood. The 3.5-liter V6 is no more, has been replaced by a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine, 1.1 liters smaller, and no, the Highlander hasn't shrunk at all. So, what does that mean? Of course it means it is a turbocharged 2.4 liter. In fact, it is the same turbocharged 2.4 liter that I recently experienced in the 2022 Lexus NX. Not the exact same, but like the base core engine is the same thing. So what I want to do is briefly tell you about this new engine that is in the Highlander and then show you how it performs. I mean, you can hear right now that when you're just cruising down the road, it's nice and quiet, and in the background, you still have an 8-speed transmission that's tied to it, automatic transmission. So you have plenty of ratio range to work with. You also have 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. 265 horsepower is actually 30 fewer than the outgoing V6 managed, but 310 pound-feet of torque is an improvement of 47 pound-feet. And that peak power comes through at 1700 RPM instead of 4700. In terms of pure outputs, I'd say that's a net positive, especially for a 3-row SUV. And with those figures, Toyota assures us that yes, the Highlander still can tow up to 5,000 pounds. So that is no different. So why the change? Well, Toyota says it's for increased fuel efficiency, reduced emissions, and more torque. And indeed, all of that is true. But I suspect cost plays a role as well. Toyota is using that turbocharged 2.4 liter in more places, and economies of scale drop the price. That said, Toyota claims that NOx emissions dropped by more than 50%, and fuel economy is better too. You get 21 miles to the gallon in the city, 28 on the highway, 24 combined. And I'll go ahead and put what the 2022 Highlander with the 3.5-liter V6 could do on the screen to give you a nice comparison. As more and more cars become electrified, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, etc., or just plain electric, you're gonna see more and more downsizing of engines. But we're also seeing that manufacturers are getting better at making smaller displacement engines more and more potent with the use of turbochargers. So we don't have to worry too much about power, but in terms of feel and smoothness and linearity of power delivery, that's where things might not be quite as good as before. But no matter, we still have to know how well this car accelerates. And of course I had to test that. Let me show you that right now. Coming to a complete stop. Bit of brake torque, off we go. Yeah, good initial acceleration. We're shifting around 5,600 RPM up. We got shifted close to 6,000 RPM for the second, for the 2-3 shift. And yeah, I mean, look, we're hustling. That is healthy acceleration for a mid-size 3-row SUV that can tow up to 5,000 pounds. This thing is definitely not slow. And then, when everything calms down, we're going around 62, 63 miles an hour, and the engine's spinning less than 2,100 RPM. We're around 1,900 RPM, so things calm down nice and quickly. And at the speed, the engine's very calm, very much in the background. It's really easy to carry a conversation back here, and you get to use some of the other features that are built into this Highlander. It is largely the same in that regard. You get lots of USB ports strewn throughout the cabin, a center console touchscreen that includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, you get plenty of space, 139 cubic feet in the cabin, as well as 16 cubic feet of storage behind the 3rd row. Fold the seats down and that increases to 48 behind the 2nd. Do it again, and you get 84 behind the 1st row. For 2023, there are a number of other updates, and I'll go ahead and put some of the most important ones on the screen right now. But of course, the biggest change is in fact that it is now a turbo engine for the non-hybrid versions of the Highlander. It is still available as either a front or all-wheel drive SUV. So if you want to slightly improve your fuel economy, you go front-wheel drive. If you want a little bit more of that traction confidence in inclement weather, you go all-wheel drive. So if you live in Michigan like I do, you probably go all-wheel drive. And yes, the Toyota Highlander is still available as well. And that powertrain is much more similar to what it was in 2022. And I actually did a full review of a 2021 Highlander, and that was the hybrid version of the Highlander. That has a more complete and thorough review of what this car is like inside, space, details, comfort, all of that. And I have a link. You can check out that video right there if you are curious. Anyway, I think they did a good job with this engine change. This is a stout 2.4 liter engine. It delivers good acceleration for a vehicle this size, and yet it calms right down when you're just going from point A to point B. And yeah, fuel economy improvements are of course always welcome. In addition to that, generally speaking, while power delivery isn't quite as linear as the 3.5 liter, it is close. They did a good job of mitigating the traditional issues of turbochargers having that surginess or some weird delays at lower RPMs. That is fairly minimal here. So I think from a usability and user-friendly point of view, it's absolutely fine. More than anything, it definitely merits a full review test, and I hope to do that sometime soon. But in the meantime, if you're considering a 2023 Toyota Highlander but are a little sheepish about going with a turbocharged 4-cylinder, don't be. This thing is A-okay. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I would really appreciate it if you like this video. Doing so helps me out a lot. Okay, goodbye. Off we go.